Hello, I'm Roger Walterhouse from Elkhart, Indiana, in the United States of America. And I had a catheter ablation less than 48 hours ago. And while the experience is still fresh in my mind, I thought I would record a video for you to have an expectation of what you might experience when you have a catheter ablation. I remember after being diagnosed with AV-NRT, I wanted to find out what this catheter ablation was going to be all about. My doctor had told me that it was a way that could fix what I was experiencing with SVT attacks, and I wanted to get rid of that, that's for sure. So he'd put me on metoprolol initially, and while that kept things mediated somewhat, it did not take care of the problem entirely. And so he scheduled me for a catheter ablation. I went online to try and find what I could find out about it, and I didn't really find a lot on YouTube other than technical things. And so just from a person who's gone through it without any medical training at all, I wanted to give you kind of an idea of what I experienced during my procedure. So again, I just had it just a couple days ago. Today's Friday, and I had it done on Wednesday, so it wasn't that long ago. So the memory is still very, very fresh. I arrived at the hospital at 5:30 in the morning for preparation to get things ready for it. The doctor said that it would probably be around 7:30 when the procedure would actually take place. When I got to the preparation room, the nurse asked me, as she so eloquently said, to strip buck naked and to put on the hospital gown, and then they would be back in to continue to get things prepped and ready to go. When they came back in, it was actually a medical assistant that came back in, and she shaved me from my neck all the way down to my mid-thigh, and just in preparation for what needed to happen with the procedure. The nurse came back in later and explained that the only reason they do that is in case they would have to do something more aggressive if the procedure, something had gone wrong during the procedure. Then the nurse came in and she actually put 2 IVs in my arm, in my left arm. The first one was in the corner of the top of my elbow here, and the other one was in my wrist. And she said that the doctor likes to have 2 IVs in the patient so that if one of those IVs for some reason would fail, the other one would be available to access and use. After that, they put a saline drip in, and I was told to wait for the doctor and the anesthesiologist to come in and kind of brief me on what was going to happen that day. And before long, the anesthesiologist nurse came in, and she explained what her role would be during the day. And she told me that she would be sitting beside me the whole time as she administers the different anesthetics that would be necessary during the procedure. And then the doctor came in and he also explained what would be happening, and which he had told me previously, so I was aware of what his responsibilities and what his goal would be. After that, they wheeled me back into the procedure room. It looked like surgery rooms that I've been in before, you've seen on TV, very sterile obviously. They moved me from the bed that I was in the preparation room over to another bed that was surrounded by all these machines, and it wasn't a super comfortable bed, but it's something obviously that was necessary for me to lay on for the procedure. They did put a pillow underneath my knees to kind of help take pressure off of my back, and I'm a taller person, and so they also had to put an extension on the bed so that my feet weren't dangling off the whole time. With that, they sat me up and began to put pads, I should say, on my back. There were 3 of those, I think, and that they put on. And then they put some on my chest as well, and then one on the top of my thigh. And then they laid me back. The anesthesiologist nurse asked me if I wanted some music to be playing, which I was up for that, and I said sure. Initially I was a little anxious about being anxious and not sure what the procedure was going to be like, and knowing that I would be somewhat awake during the procedure was a little anxious, anxiety inducing, and so I was happy to have anything that would kind of calm me down there. Now in hindsight, it really wasn't bad at all. I didn't feel anxious the whole time. It was actually not not a bad experience whatsoever. The nurse did put the medicine into my IV. I could feel it go in because it was a little cooler in the room, and therefore the medicine was a little cooler. And soon after, I was in a really interesting state of consciousness. I kind of knew what was going on. I could hear people talking, but I didn't really care. It was just like there was nothing. And I felt like maybe it's that place where you're at as you're trying to go to sleep at night, and maybe where you're between awake and asleep, you can hear sounds around you, but you just don't really care at all. And I remember having little dreams. They didn't make any sense at all. And that was kind of the way that it was for most of the time that I was in there. However, I do remember being brought out of that and being very conscious with some questions they were asking me, specifically when they were causing my heart to go into an SVT rhythm. And that I do remember. It wasn't very comfortable, but I was used to it because I've had SVT attacks before. I didn't feel anxious about that at all. Again, whatever they put in my IV, I didn't really care, but I could feel it. The only discomfort I really felt was when they were inserting the catheters in both of my femoral arteries. They do one on your right and one on your left. At least they did in this procedure that I had. That felt like a little pressure, a little tugging, and that went on for a little bit. But it wasn't like something that was real bad. And then at the end of the procedure, as they were removing those, kind of the same pressure feeling, a little discomfort, but that was about it. They had told me that I might feel when they cauterized my heart. I didn't feel that at all. I had no idea that they'd done it, and maybe felt a little pressure up in my shoulder at one point. Again, it wasn't anything that was intolerable. I thought the whole time had maybe been about 45 minutes. I thought, man, they got in, everything was good. They were able to get it done real quick, able to find the problem and get it taken care of. And then I found out it was actually 3 hours and 15 minutes. So it went quite a bit longer than what I was imagining it. So whatever that medicine was on that I was on, it caused me to not really be able to tell time real well. As they were getting things done, they did remove the right side catheter first, and the nurse that was in there put a lot of pressure down on my leg as they were trying to keep that from bleeding, and they had several different gauze that they had to put on there to keep that from bleeding. And then once they felt like they had gotten it, they used a large cotton ball they put on that, and then they put that clear tape, that big wide clear tape over that to hold that cotton ball in place. Did the same thing on the other side, and then they placed two heavy sandbags on my leg to keep things, I guess, heavy on that, to keep that pressure there. With that, they wheeled me out into the recovery room. The recovery room experience was still a little bit of a haze and a fog for me. I do remember my loved ones being there. I remember talking with them, but I don't remember much. They said I said some funny things. I don't really remember that until they told me they would be sitting me up over some time, and sure enough, they would come in once in a while, raise my bed a little bit, and then they had me get up, take a walk around the recovery area there, and serve me lunch, and I was out of the recovery, and that was about another 3 hours. So all in all, the whole procedure, I went in at 5:30, I left at 2:30 in the afternoon. Came home, and they told me to just relax for that whole day, and I did. So that was Wednesday, 2 days ago. And I just came home and actually fell asleep, and I slept for a real long time, about 2.5, 3 hours. I woke up feeling a lot more clear-headed, and no pain on day one. It just didn't really, there wasn't anything there. Day two, I had a little discomfort in my chest. That was yesterday, and I felt just a little discomfort up in my shoulders, around my neck. Today, I'm feeling abdominal pain. It feels like I've just done about 200 sit-ups, and so my stomach hurts a little bit as far as that pain, that ache, and I feel it in the tops of my legs right there in that area in the groin where the where the femoral arteries kind of go up into your body. But other than that, it's been a really good experience. As far as my heart rate is concerned, I haven't had any issues with that in the past 48 hours, so that's good. And anticipating that won't come back. I have felt fairly good. Pretty anxious to get back into my routine of life and see how this new heart rate is going to work for me. All in all, positive experience. Good medical professionals were involved. And so I just wanted to share that with you, make sure you feel a little more easy going into your catheter ablation. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm just somebody that had this experience done, thought I would share it on YouTube. Have a great day.